Okay, everybody, welcome to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. And this video is the first series of videos where we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you some of my new hardware setup and going hybrid, and running just a couple non-scientific experiments on a couple of different things just to see what the sound difference is when you're using hardware. So let me explain. So what we have here in this session is we have a bunch of raw tracks that have not been mixed, not been processed. Down here in brown, we have a drum kit here, kick in, kick out, snare, top and bottom, overheads left and right, rooms left and right, tom 1, tom 2. We have a bass DI track, a bass amp track, and 2 acoustic guitars and a lead vocal. Okay, right down here. So there's 15 tracks. Okay, again, raw, not processed. Just brought into the DAW, into Studio One, threw up the faders, a little bit of panning, no EQ, no compression, no nothing. And that's all going to this track here, this bus track called raw tracks. Okay. Over here next to that, we have a bus called hardware print. And over here in blue, we have those exact same tracks that I've actually re-recorded back into Studio One. So in other words, I sent the raw track one at a time out of the DAW through my hardware and back in, and I'll show you the hardware in a second. So you can see in blue, we have a kick in print, kick out print, snare top print, snare bottom, tom 1, tom 2, sorry about that. Overhead left, overhead right, room left, room right, bass DI, bass amp, acoustic guitar 1 and 2, and then a lead vocal print down here. Okay, and all of those tracks are being routed to this bus. So we can do a true A/B comparison. Solo up the printed tracks that ran through the hardware. Yes, and then solo that up and mute, and then listen to the raw tracks. So we can hear a difference. What is the hardware and printing on this? Now, let me show you the hardware and show you kind of what I've done. And again, this is not scientific here. I'm just going to get out the iPhone. I'm just going to show you, and I'll do this in editing, what we're using for hardware, just so you can see what it is. So if I come over here, start recording. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so basically what I've done, get over here on the mic. What I've done is I've run all of these these things one at a time through the Neve 1073 EQ, the Neve 1073 preamp into the 1073 EQ into the 2264 compressor. So these tracks do have a tiny bit of EQ done to them and a little tiny bit of compression. So when we're comparing the print tracks to the raw tracks, the print tracks have a little EQ and a little compression. So again, it's not apples to apples. That'll be the next video and I'll explain in a minute. So they're going through this signal chain, this channel strip, and then back into Studio One. I'm not using on either of the tracks any of the mix bus compressor stuff yet. We'll get that to another video. These things they're hooked up, but the signal did not run through either one of these. So we went through the preamp, through the EQ, through the compressor, back into Studio One, and we're going to compare them to raw tracks. So turn that off. So when we're comparing these, yes, the printed tracks are going to have a little EQ and a little compression on them. And I just did that purposely because I wanted to just kind of hear the difference. And what I'm really listening for here is there really any difference? You know, how do they sound? And so what I tried to do is level match the two buses so we hear them at about the same volume, and just to hear what the differences are. So let's play those back and let me give you an idea of what we're talking about here. So we're going to mute the printed track. So right now we're going to listen to just the raw tracks. Okay. No processing, throw up the faders. Again, not very scientific. So be kind to me in the comments. We're going to do more scientific stuff as we go forward. This is my first attempt of even running hardware. So I'm just doing things in stages, and I thought I would share that with you for my followers that have been watching me do this kind of conversion. So here's the raw tracks. Here's what we have.
Are you going down? Are you going down? Sugar, are you going down? Are you going down? Sugar.
Okay, so there's the raw tracks. And now I want to give you a little snippet of the printed tracks, the hardware process tracks from the same spot. And then once we do that, I'll play it simultaneously and I will mute and unmute the two buses so you can hear them side by side. But here is the printed tracks running through the hardware, the stuff that ran through the Neves.
Why are you going down? Why are you going down? Sugar. Why are you going down? Why are you going down? Sugar.
Okay, so there's the printed tracks. Okay, so obviously the level matching is pretty close. You're going to hear a little more brightness. There is a little bit of compression on the printed tracks. I get it. So now what I want to do is I want to just listen to them back and forth. I'll play a little bit bigger section of music and I'll just turn the buses on and off so you'll see. Again, the one over here, I'll change the color here to blue. Okay, so the printed, let me do a different shade of blue so I click on the right one. So the blue represents the hardware stuff. The black, or I'll change it to a different shade of brown here. This one represents the unprinted tracks. Okay, running through no other processing, right out the master bus. And let's see what we hear if we just kind of mute back and forth so we can see what the differences are. So here we go.
Combine. Why are you going down? Why are you going down? Sugar. Why are you going down? Why are you going down? Sugar. In accounts of the bad times, we'll portion our stuff and buckets of even by side. In accounts of the bad times and down moments which can make you stronger, what can you find? What can you try? Why are you going down? Why are you going down? Sugar. Why are you going down?
Okay, so what I'm hearing there, although obviously the printed tracks, the hardware tracks, the ones in blue, sound a little bit more present, a little more crispy because I ran them through some EQ. Again, it's not 100% fair comparison. But what I hear also, and I don't know how it comes across on YouTube, and the reason why I'm doing this without wearing headphones and listening in my studio with the studio monitors for this test, is that I hear that the hardware seems to feel a little bit wider to me. The panning is all exactly the same, a little bit wider, and it seems to be a little bit more sense of depth to it, a little bit more color to it. And again, that's what you would think you would get running it through hardware. So far, again, this is just my first opportunity to see, okay, raw tracks versus hardware. Is there any audible difference at all? And there is. Now, the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reprint these tracks, but I'm not going to run it through EQ and compression. I'm just going to run it through the Neve preamp. So I can see across a 15 track session here, because it's an accumulative thing, right? One track, A being off one track, you're not going to hear a difference. But across a larger session, 15, 20, 30 tracks, I want to see if running it through the Neve preamp first, having that preamp tone imprinted on this, no EQ, no compression, how does that sound compared to just the raw tracks without the Neve preamp? That's a little bit more apples to apples. And then I may also put the say like the Slate Digital Neve preamp, their 1073 preamp, is part of the VMR on the raw tracks to see how does that plugin sound compared to the emulation of the real thing. That'll be another video as well. So we'll do that in the next video, but I just wanted to share that with you. Again, let me know what you think. Leave in the comments below. Again, it's going to sound a little different. It isn't the most apples to apples test, I get it. So before you blast me in the comments, believe me, I know. I'm just getting used to this. I'm just setting up and starting to experiment, and I just thought I would share it with you and just let me know, do you hear do you hear that same kind of width and that little more depth in the printed tracks than what in the raw tracks? Because that's what it sounds like here. So I thought you would be interested to see that. So thank you so much for watching this entire video. Let me know what you think below. Let me know if you use hybrid and mixing and such, and how do you feel if you do use hybrid with some hardware? How do you feel that it's changed your mixing routine and your mixing workflow? I'd be interested to hear what you think. Leave comments below. Also, make sure you go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and make sure you get your 5 free mixing training courses. All the links will be in the description box below. And until the next video where we look at a little bit more and start getting more and more into this whole hybrid mixing transformation in my studio, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.